Do you remember that blackout we had in '84? I think it was then that I knew. There was something in the way you looked at me, something in your eyes that night. We sat here at this table. It must have been not long after we moved in, actually. I'd just managed to get dinner sorted before the lights went. I want to say we had fish fingers. I seem to remember us eating a lot of fish fingers when we first moved in. You'd spent all day getting the freezer plugged in and stocked up. I'd set the table and cooked the fish fingers and pop! Out went the lights, off went the radio, and of course, off went the freezer too. Bloody hell, it's gone kaput. You still felt uncomfortable swearing in front of me. 30 years later, you still don't really swear in front of me. I know you do, though. When you're out with Mike and everyone, you think I don't know, but I do. Bloody hell, it's all gonna be ruined. I told you it would be fine, though. Just leave the lid down and keep the cool air in. It'll soon pass. You lit the candles and I plated up. You used the flame of the candles to warm your knife so you could spread the butter smoothly on the bread, I remember. Halfway through the meal, I looked up from my plate and saw you looking at me, staring. It was as if you were staring straight through me, piercing me with your eyes. I know it might have been a little late in the day, being as we'd already married and moved in together, but that was when I knew, really knew, that I was going to be with you forever. But then again, maybe it was just the candlelight. I'm sure it was no coincidence that it was 9 months after that night Suzanne came along. You always said you'd never wanted a child, that you'd never make a good father. How could I ever love something that's going to bleed us dry, you always used to say. Even in the hospital you didn't want to hold her. I heard the nurse offer her to you while I was resting. You must have thought I was asleep. I don't want to touch it, you said. I don't want to touch it. You thought I never heard you, but I did. That's why, when we got back home, the first thing I did was go out and leave her with you. I knew if I left the two of you alone for a bit, you'd soon warm to her. When I got home, I could just see the back of your head over the top of the chair. You'd fallen asleep. I was just about to go ballistic at you for nodding off when you should have been looking after Susie. But as I came round the chair, I saw her, cradled in your arms, both of you fast asleep. You never knew that I saw that, but I did. I could never accuse you of not providing for us, of not looking after us. Every time they offered you extra work, you took it. We need the money. And you were right, we did. And you always made sure we got it. It just would have been nice to have had a few more weekends together, a few more evenings as the three of us, rather than me looking after everything and just plating up your tea for you when you got home. But you always made sure we had plenty. I did know that. Even after Susie went off to university, You kept taking the extra time. I told you we didn't need it anymore. Susie even had her own job by then. You never know, though. Things change. Better to have too much than too little. And you were right, of course. I got a phone call once from your work. It was sometime around our anniversary. I forget which one now. They were asking after you. Of course, they didn't want me. Wanting to know if you wanted some extra hours. They said they wouldn't normally bother you because they knew you weren't ever interested in the extra time, but they were desperate. They meant to ask you before you left at 5, but they missed you. I said I thought you were still there. They said, no. I laughed it off and said I must have got my days mixed up. When you came home and I asked how your day was, you said, long. You gave me an entire account of your day. I never told you I'd had that phone call. Never told you I knew about the extra time. Never told you that I cried that night. But I did. You kept working your extras, late nights, Saturday mornings. I stopped asking how your day had been. I just got tired of hearing the lies. I often wondered if you ever noticed. When that woman came round today after the service, I didn't even think to ask who she was. I just let her in. She began telling me how sorry she was for my loss, how upset she was, and that she was sorry to have to tell me like this. Tell me what? I asked her. You thought I didn't know.